being drafted in the 6th round, as you mentioned earlier, the last pick in the 6th round, how much pressure did you put on yourself knowing that you weren't a first-day draft pick? How much pressure did you put on yourself to really make an impression in a hurry for Coach Reeves?
You know, I didn't put a lot of pressure on myself. I was disappointed. I think everyone that gets drafted that's not in the first round is pretty much disappointed. So I was disappointed, and especially being a second-day pick. But I knew that, if I worked hard, I would give myself an opportunity to make it. And that's what I focused on, is just doing everything I could to make this football team, whether it be on special teams, whether it be making a great block, or whether it be making a great catch, or running a good route, or making sure I hit the right hole. But I tried to make sure that I did everything right. And I put in the extra time to make sure that, hey, you have to take notice of me. I tried to stand out. I tried to do the amazing thing. I still remember our first preseason game, running down on kickoff. And I used to play special teams at UVA all the time. And it wasn't until my junior senior year that I stopped doing the majority of the kickoffs and mainly focused on punt team.
Okay.
But I used to run down on kickoffs, and we used to have this thing where you had to be the first one to make the tackle, and by any means necessary, you're gonna make this tackle. So we used to dive over wedges. We used to dive through wedges. We used to jump in the air and crazy stuff. So I was like, this is going to bring back memories. I'm gonna do whatever I have to make this tackle. So
kamikaze style.
And actually, this was the game I was playing against Mike Fredericks, who was drafted in the 3rd round by the Cleveland Browns as a defensive end. So I'm playing against him. He's running down on. He's on the kickoff team, kickoff return team, and he's trying to look me up. But I avoid him, and I see the wedge, and I say, the only way it's 4 big guys there. I said, the only way I'm going to make this tackle is if I jump. I'm going to try to jump and make this tackle. So what I did is, as soon as they got close to me, I just took off. And actually, I knocked the guy that was trying to block me into the runner. He fell. It was a great play.
Wow.
And so that was one of the attention grabbers. That I did that year. Another one was in practice, where very first series of 907 with pads. We're running an ISO play, and the linebacker comes and tries to fill the hole, and I'm running full speed. I think I closed my eyes, and I hit him, and he just flies out the hole, and everybody goes, "Who is this kid?" So I mean. And that's what you have to do. In the NFL, being drafted that low, you were drafted for a reason. You were drafted because they think you have the ability to help their team win.
That's right.
Now it's up to you to show them that for all the reasons they drafted you, that they were right.
Right.
And so I wanted to prove to them that they were right. And that's what I focused on. That's what I did.
Wow. And the Giants, kind of 95, 96. Disappointing seasons, definitely, and then when Jim Fassel came along in 1997 to lead you guys to the NFC East title in the 97 season. Talk about what were the things that were different from the players' relationship with Coach Dan Reeves and with Jim Fassel?
I think, for me, I can only speak from my personal experience. I love both of them. I think Dan Reeves is a tremendous coach. I think he did a lot for me while he was there. He taught me a lot. And I think Jim Fassel did the same thing. He showed me a lot. He helped me a great deal. He actually, he allowed me to run the ball.
Right.
Albeit that he had no other choice because I was the last running back left. But he allowed me to run the ball. He saw that I did have an ability to run the ball, and he gave me that opportunity. And so I appreciate Coach Fassel for that. I think he taught me the game. I think my running backs coach, Jim Skipper, did a lot for me. He taught me in more detail the game of football. He allowed me to take my game to another level, and he showed me the intricacies of being a great football player. How do you become the elite of the elite. And he showed me what it took. He showed me how to look at tape. He showed me what to watch for so that I can take or step my game up to the next level. And I was able to do that year because of our running backs coach, Jim Skipper.
Right, and over 1,000 yards from scrimmage that season, and replacing Rodney Hampton. Talk about what you learned from Rodney Hampton, because I interviewed him a couple months ago, and he talked about how he had to change his whole game when he joined the Giants, make adjustments, because he was a scat back out of UGA, so he had to make his adjustments. So talk about, because he has a vibrant personality. That's the first thing. So talk about what else you learned from him.
Just how to be a professional, how to come in every day into the locker room and understand this is a business. It's a business that millions of people are dying to be in, and that, when you come in, you may not be feeling well, but you still have a job to do.
Right.
And so that's what I learned from him, is how to be a professional, how to come in every day with a workmanlike attitude and get the job done. No matter what is going on outside of football, you are still doing your very best and putting on a show for the fans. And that's what he did. When he went out there on that football field, he put on a show, because he was one of the best running backs I've ever been around.
That's right. That is for sure. And tenacious, definitely. And very, very similar. That number 27, similar to the current number 27 right now for the G-Men.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. Brandon Jacobs.
That's right. And wanted to talk about that 97 season. Won the NFC East, hosted a home game. I was actually at that game in the stadium, in the crowd, actually. And it was very disappointing with Eddie Murray kicking the winning field goal for the Minnesota Vikings. But there was a lot of dissension going on during that game. What was going on? Because that most likely factored in the loss, you think?
You know what? I try to forget that game.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
That was probably one of the lowlights of my career, just because, I've never been to a playoff game before then, and having an opportunity to play in a playoff game, and you hear of the intensity and the level of intensity, how it picks up during a playoff game, and being able to experience that feeling was just a rush, and being able to meet your opponent's intensity for almost 50 minutes, 55 minutes of a game. It's disappointing that the last 5 minutes could end that way, but I mean, that's what happened. You can't point fingers to one person or one particular play. It just wasn't meant to be. We were a team that we didn't have great players. We weren't the Green Bay Packers. We didn't have the Reggie Whites, the Brett Favre, the Edgar Bennett's. Those we didn't have. We didn't have those types of guys on our team to say that we can't give our 100% for 60 minutes and have a chance to win. We had to play every single play like it was our last, and unfortunately we didn't do that, and the outcome wasn't to our liking. But we learned a lot. I think that team learned a lot, and because in 2000 when we did make it to the Super Bowl, it was because those guys that were on that team remembered how it was in '97 that kept us focused and kept us shooting for the ultimate goal, which was to make it to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but because of our experience in '97, I think it helped enable those guys in 2000 to get to where they got.
And coincidentally, that was against the Minnesota Vikings, that championship game where I don't think I've ever seen a game that perfect. Right. Seriously, like 41 zip,
And I think that we had a little motivation.